there, my name is Ashmir and I'm a medical student studying at the University of Leeds, and in order to get into medical school, like a lot of other people, I had to do my A-levels. Now, I completely understand that A-levels are a period of your time that can be very, very challenging, and this video aims to help people that plan to start A-level biology or are currently in A-level biology to sort of get a clear idea of what the course entails, what to expect from it, and I'll sort of go through the things that I liked and didn't like about the course and how you can navigate your way through these challenges, through these obstacles, and I'll also give you a lot of study tips that I found useful. So this video will be broken down into many subsections that are listed on the screen, but you can also see them below in timestamp. So just as a brief introduction to the course, A-level biology, just like any other A-level, is a 2-year course, and there are 8 main topics that they go through at A-level biology. These are all listed on the screen. Now, although these are only 8 topics, these are actually divided into subtopics as well, and those subtopics have subtopics, and it's actually quite a lot of content. So you might notice that the first 4 topics don't have brackets saying A-level only. That's because the first 4 topics are covered in year 12, and then in year 13 we do the other 4 subjects which are in brackets A-level only. So the good thing about A-level biology is when you sit your actual A-levels or you're practicing mocks, paper 1 will always be everything that you've learned in year 12. Paper 2 will mostly be year 13 with a little bit of a year 12, and then paper 3 will be a mix of both papers 1 and 2, the content that you learn in year 12 and year 13, with a greater focus on things like practical skills, and it also has this thing known as the 25-mark essay. Now, the 25-mark essay is a very interesting one. There's a lot of videos out there on the internet that you can sort of go through to understand what the 25-mark essay is like, but unfortunately for the scope of this video, I'm not going to talk about it extensively. But if you'd like to know my experience with the 25-marker, please do let me know in the comments down below, and I'll probably make a video on it. So firstly, let me talk a bit about what I enjoyed, what I liked about A-level biology. So if you plan on going into higher education to university after you complete your A-levels, which is most people's plan, if you do A-level biology, you're potentially likely to go into something like medicine, veterinary medicine, or zoology, plant sciences, biomedical sciences, biochemistry. If subjects like these are what you find appealing or interesting, I think you'll be glad to know that A-level biology does provide a really solid foundation for you to begin that journey. By the time you finish the 2-year course of A-level biology, you will have a very solid grounding in all of these topics, and so you will be ready for university. So in my case, I study medicine. In year 12 and 13, we learned a lot about how the human body works on a biochemical, cellular level, and also we learned a lot about anatomy and physiology, so we learned quite a lot about the cardiovascular and respiratory system, which was actually really, really useful going into medical school. And the second thing I found really interesting, also links back to my bias with studying medicine. We actually had this thing known as a heart dissection. Now, the heart dissection was one of our practicals. The practicals at A-level biology, sometimes they are absolutely a bit boring, but they actually are quite engaging. Especially, for example, the heart dissection one. So I'll put up a few images on the screen of what that looked like. Essentially, we dissected a sheep's heart to sort of understand the different chambers of the heart, sort of understand the great vessels, what they look like, how they are orientated with respect to each other, and we sort of go through the different adaptations of these heart in the class to sort of understand how these various adaptations are beneficial to this animal in order for the heart of that animal to carry out its daily function. There's a few other interesting practicals as well involving insects and how different insects would respond to stimuli like light, so that was a pretty cool one. That was a lot of fun actually. So lastly, what I really, really liked about A-level biology, and this is something that a lot of people dislike, and for good reason, I'm not gonna lie, is the application aspect of A-level biology. So if you already study A-level biology, I think you'd know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, that's completely okay. So let me talk a bit about what application means. So let's say in biology you have learned about passive immunity. In your exams, they are actually really unlikely to ask you what passive immunity actually means. Instead, they might ask you what passive immunity means in the context of a specific question. Let me give you an example. So have a read through these questions, pause the video, and when you're done, just unpause the video. If we scroll down to this question, given all the information that we have above, we now have to answer this question, which asks us to suggest how this passive immunity would work and which patients should be offered this antitoxin antibody. So what they've done is they've asked us a question in the context of the larger question. Now, they aren't directly asking us about our understanding of passive immunity and how an antitoxin antibody works, whatever that means. Now, although we do know what an antibody is from learning A-levels, we don't know what antitoxin, what's an antitoxin? A lot of people wouldn't know that. A lot of people wouldn't know that, and they want you to understand, use your brain, critically think. It's an aspect of A-level biology that people obviously find really, really challenging, but at the same time, later on, as I entered year 13, it's something that I actually started enjoying more. And in all honesty, it is a really, really good thing. In the future, people aren't going to care so much about what knowledge you have. They'd rather care a lot more about what skills you can do to help people and better their lives, given that knowledge that you have. So according to the mark scheme, this is what the answers would be if you're interested. So I'm now going to talk a bit about what I didn't like about A-level biology. From the question that we just had a look at, I'd like to talk about the mark scheme. Now the mark scheme, as you can see, it's actually really, really specific. They want you to use certain key terms and certain key words, which is why at A-level biology, you cannot be too vague. You have to be really, really specific with how you answer each question. They want you to say specific keywords, key terms, in order for them to give you that mark. You see, A-level biology is a subject that takes a lot of time to fully understand, and as of 2023, and I think it was the same for 2024, in order to get an A at A-level biology, you needed 60% overall. 60% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you account for the amount of mark scheme specificity at A-level, it actually becomes a lot more challenging to achieve that grade. Understanding just how specific mark schemes are at A-level is something that took me a lot of time to fully understand. It does take time to master, it takes practice. And the best way to overcome this is to continuously practice lots and lots of exam papers. So after you complete learning a topic, I'd strongly suggest you do lots and lots of exam questions on that topic in order for you to understand what the mark scheme desires. What does the mark scheme want for you to say for a specific question? Because at A-level biology, year by year, they tend to recycle questions a lot of the time, and they sort of try to word them differently. So it's really useful to go through past papers and understand past mark schemes. It's the best tip, to be very honest with you. So another thing that people tend to find annoying about A-level biology is that it is a really memorization heavy subject. So a lot of memory is required at A-level biology, and although there is that aspect of problem solving and critical thinking when it comes to application questions, for the most part, in order for you to actually do that, you need to first have a really good grounding in your biology. And we cover plant biology, human biology, different cellular mechanisms, and the food chain. Now here's the thing, because there's such a diverse range of biological things being covered in a single course, a lot of people find it boring. Because if you're like me and you want to study medicine, going to university, for example, then you probably wouldn't enjoy learning about plant sciences or photosynthesis so much. It can be a bit boring. Another thing, some concepts at A-level biology are very, very tedious to learn and understand. For example, the Krebs cycle. Now the Krebs cycle is tricky. You don't have to know everything about the Krebs cycle, but in order for you to get the full picture, I'd 100% advise learning the whole cycle and understanding what everything means. There's a few cycles at A-level biology, quite a few cellular mechanisms that you have to learn, and that can be really, really frustrating to get through, but it is what it is. But it's okay. The more you practice it, you will be fine. So let's talk a bit about some tips that I have for you to excel at A-level biology, enjoy the course, and get good grades. So there's a really common misconception when it comes to revision in general. It's that you need to first learn the content. So you need to first thoroughly and completely understand the content in a lot of depth. And people say that then only should you go into exam questions rigorously. Now that is something I disagree with. I think that you should spend a little bit of time going through the content. So maybe spend like an hour or two sort of reading a topic, going through just the general outline of what the topic entails, just hear about your teacher talking about it in class, so you've got a general understanding of what's going on. It's really, really hard to learn just by rereading things. By rereading your notes and going through text, you aren't actually learning things. You think that you're learning it because you've gone into so much detail, but the best thing to do is go through exam questions. You see, I made a video about this a few months ago that you can watch somewhere there, but the main thing is, in order for you to fully understand a concept and challenge your memory, to learn better, to learn more efficiently, you need to keep testing yourself. And the best way to do that at A-levels in general is by doing exam questions. If you visit the resource Physics and Maths Tutor, which is a free website, they have every past paper in existence for A-level biology and other A-level subjects too. I'd strongly recommend doing every single topic question for every single topic at A-level biology after you've briefly completed a topic. It's such a useful tip. Another really big tip for A-level biology is to understand the big picture and how different concepts at A-level biology sort of link to each other in order to create a massive picture. So let me talk a bit about what that means. I'm going to use the example of digestion, respiration, and protein synthesis. So these are three topics that are distinct to each other. So they are taught separately, and at first glance, they probably don't have a lot of link. But here's the thing, and this is a tip that's going to boost your understanding of your topics so well and your ability to connect topics. You see, at A-level biology, they won't test you upon a single concept or a single topic in a single question. They might test you on 3 different topics in a single question. So in order to understand the links between different topics and how they can ask you questions based on different subtopics from A-level biology, you need to have a really good grasp over them. So through the process of digestion, we break down larger molecules into smaller molecules in order to perform cellular functions like respiration. When you do respiration, you get a lot of products that can actually aid a really important process in your body that facilitates growth and repair, known as protein synthesis. If you'd like for me to go into more depth, sort of talking about how you can link different topics to the big picture in order for you to boost your understanding of A-level biology topics, please let me know and I'll make a video for that as well. So this is something that I actually started doing more in year 13. Basically, before you start a topic at school, I think it's really beneficial to go through it yourself. Go through it the night before, read through it. If you've got any questions or things that you don't understand, have those doubts or questions aside and ask your teacher in class. And also, if you read up from the day before, you'd have a much more solid understanding of what's going on in class. And this is something you have to do at A-level. For me, this is something that was non-negotiable, especially for the subjects biology and chemistry. So as I mentioned before, at A-level biology, there's a lot of cycles like the Krebs cycle, and there's a lot of long processes. So the most efficient way to learn these things is by making flow diagrams on a piece of paper. So let's say you're learning about the process of glycolysis. The best way to go about learning it is to write the whole process down in sort of like flow chart, flow diagram, and you're not going to make the diagrams by looking at it. You're going to make these diagrams from your memory. So from whatever you remember about glycolysis, for example, you're going to write down the whole process of glycolysis from memory, and if you get anything wrong, look back at the actual cycle and then make the changes accordingly. And then lastly, the main tip really is to keep practicing exam questions. That really is the best thing you can do to become apt at answering A-level biology questions. You see, no matter how much content you learn for A-level biology, even if you know everything, you need to understand how to answer questions in a way that the mark scheme wants you to. The only way you can do that is by doing exam questions. And really, just don't stress out. Stress is something that really crippled me at A-level. It affected my health, my mental health, and my physical health. It really did. So really focus on your mental health, take things easy, connect with people, work together, support each other, and ask for help whenever you need it. Lastly, I'd like to talk a bit about resources. So resources is an interesting one. A lot of people spend a lot of time looking for the right resource. A lot of people say, I don't know how to study yet because I haven't found the right resource. Now the main thing you need is your specification. The specification, which I'll link in the description below, is a tool that will outline everything you need to know. Once you read the specification, go to a website like Physics and Maths Tutor or Save My Exams. Both of these websites have notes that are free. Physics and Maths Tutor's notes are free. Save My Exams, they are kind of free. I think it is worth getting a Save My Exams subscription. It isn't too expensive, it's reasonable in price, and they do have a lot of good stuff to offer. And when you're actually practicing questions, again, Physics and Maths Tutor is the best resource you can go for. Watch YouTube videos to understand stuff, literally anything. Now, I never made a single note at A-level biology. I think it's a waste of time. I think, and this is something I'd really like for you to try to see if it works for yourself, if you're learning a new topic at A-level biology, you should watch a YouTube video to understand that topic and then jump right into exam questions. Now, absolutely, there are a lot of concepts that need frequent revision, and this is something I didn't actually know at A-level. This isn't something that I actually did at A-level, but at medical school, it's a resource that has been so incredibly useful to me. try Anki. The video linked somewhere here or there, I've talked a bit about how Anki works, and it's truly such an amazing platform. Anki combines two really important concepts in studying and effective memorization and revision, known as active recall and spaced repetition. What Anki does is it keeps testing you on certain concepts over certain periods of time, and it makes sure you consolidate that information in a really comprehensive way. It's a brilliant resource. I'd really recommend checking it out and learning more about how to use Anki. If you'd like to know more about how to use Anki, I'll make a video on that as well if you'd really like it. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you're starting A-level biology or you're giving your exam soon, honestly, all the best. You're going to be fine. Keep working hard, take breaks, and I promise you the hard work you put into studying A-levels, it really will pay off for you very soon. Till next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.